I'm a girl with the Florida Gators.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I was just checking to see if you were listening.
From Cheyenne, Louisiana. Hold on a second.
Hey, guys! Hey! I'm having a press conference, okay? Thank you.
Momentum, excitement, energy. They say all this stuff, and you know what they mean, but it doesn't describe what you mean. It's just sort of out there.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
I was just worried about, listening to, all your guys' rap poison.
Welcome to Sideline Judgment. Here are your hosts, Sergio and Tyler.
Welcome to Sideline Judgment. My name is Sergio.
My name is Tyler.
And today, Tyler, we're talking all about the U.S. men's national team. No, I'm kidding. We are talking.
We can if you want. I feel like you might need to.
We might take a minute or two at the end to just share my thoughts and anxiety. Because as I said before we started recording, I really do need to take my mind off the game that just ended, so that I can properly assess college football instead of it's called soccer. No, Tyler, today we will be reviewing all of what happened in Rivalry Week, which it's 6 years of this and I still can't say it properly. Rivalry Week. There we go. We will be talking about previewing, I should say, the conference championship games. All 10 of them, Tyler. All 10 of them. We will also be having a segment on the silly season that has gone full silly, Tyler. It has picked up.
Capital S silly.
Couple coaching
Capital S as in $ silly.
Yes, there you go. And then we will not be talking about the college football playoff rankings today because we are recording on Tuesday before those rankings come out. So you will hear our opinion on the final college football playoff rankings next week. Selection Sunday is this Sunday, and so we will know exactly who will be playing in the New Year's Six bowl games, what the 4 playoff teams are, and the final college football playoff rankings. So we will talk about that at a later date. We will begin, Tyler, though, with listen. I kind of want to call it an instant classic. I think it was.
Oh yeah, no, that was a game where the moment it ended, it hit you just played an ESPN Classic ranked number 3.
Yes, and yes,
save to your profile.
That is exactly what happened, and we will be seeing that at least for one more season, since EA Sports College Football will not be coming out until 2024 now. And I'm talking about Florida State 45, Florida 38. Tyler, this game was an instant classic, like we just said. Unfortunate for the Gators that we didn't win. We're not going to spend too much time on this because I feel like this can kind of go into our end of season recap, which will be coming in a couple of weeks. Our annual Florida Gators season postmortem. But what were your immediate thoughts about this game, other than the fact that it was the best Florida State game in like a decade?
Well, I was telling my parents used to watch party with all of they're like friends of the family, and there was one FSU fan there. Who is married to a Gator? He is married to a Gator fan, and both of his children went to the University of Florida.
Oh, so he's alone.
So we joked he is financially he is a fan. He was very respectful. I saw a good team beat an average team last night in a classic. I saw a Florida State team that just runs the Memphis offense, which is again 3 plays of running for 1 yard. And then a 60-yard run. Jordan Travis, that was the best game I've seen Jordan Travis play.
Agreed. In his career. Best game of his career.
It was very clear. If you ask, hey, which one of these teams has 5 wide receivers out tonight? It's very clear which one it was. Florida, see, it's so funny. Just real quick, we talked so much about how, Billy Napier might need to, boost up his offensive staff. He scored 38 points tonight. And that, when you watched it for at least the third quarter, did not seem like a 38-point output team. But I think it was a great game. And I think Florida State is, in year 4 of their rebuild, and we're in year 1. And I hope that this is the start of a nice new era of the rivalry. Because this rivalry is weird because it's very even as far as records go. But it's typically dominated by 3 to 4 year stretches of dominance. Like blowouts for 4 years in FSU's favor, then blowouts for 3 years should have been 4 in Gators' favor. and then
It's
you know,
a
we don't get
it's
a
a
lot
very
of like
streaky
close
series.
games. Yeah, we don't get a
Yeah.
lot of close games.
Yeah.
It's a close rivalry, but we don't get a lot of close games. So absolute classic. It made it easier for me to stomach the loss, considering I was so entertained.
Yeah.
And also FSU is better than Florida this season. And Florida, I don't think is bad. It was like I said, I thought I saw a good team, not great, but a good team beat an average team.
Yeah, this was very much the Stephon game of this rivalry. This game had everything. It really did have everything. Like from Florida dominating in the beginning offensively to Florida State's Jordan Travis pulling not one but two like rabbit out of a hat plays. Partially because he was able to
Those
evade the
plays
defense.
are not on Patrick Tony.
Well, I do want to make that very clear. Yes, I was gonna say
That was not
partially
Patrick Tony's
because
fault.
yeah, partially because Jordan Travis is a good quarterback. He is a good college quarterback. And partially because the Gator players just didn't make the plays, even though they were in position properly. I would argue Patrick Tony gave them the best ability to make those plays with the correct third down blitz calls. So there was everything in this game. And then there were bad. It was a poorly officiated game, and I'm not saying that.
But on both.
I'm not saying that like Tyler, the official sideline judgment stance on officials. We didn't lose this game because of the refs. We just allowed the refs to be in a position to decide the game, and that's on us. We should not have let that happen.
That's why I was telling everybody that I was with. I was like, they missed the face mask call. I'm like, yeah, they did. That was terrible. It's like so clear. I don't know how you missed that. Also, we were at a 4th and 12 on the final drive of the game.
4th and 12, down 7.
It was like when we, had the lead and got the ball to start the second half. So, I'm just we put ourselves in a position for a bad call to screw us over. And
exactly.
That's what happens.
And I do want to say there were bad calls on the other end. Florida State had a bunch of bad calls too. This was an equally poorly officiated game on both sides.
I was in a dominant Florida majority watch party, and I was still like, we shouldn't have gotten that pass interference call.
Like the pass interference,
we got bailed out.
But I will say the pass interference call on the 4th down inside of our own territory wasn't a pass interference. We got bailed out. But the 3rd down, the play before, was an obvious pass interference that didn't get called. So it's like both ways. You can't really blame it.
It was a poorly officidaed game.
Poorly officiated game. But like we said, can't put ourselves in the position to let that be what decides the game.
If you were up 3 touchdowns, it wouldn't have mattered.
No, who would have thought? All right, that's our immediate take thoughts. We will go in depth about what this means.
We'll get them next year, guys. We'll get them next year.
We'll talk more in depth about what this means about the season in a couple of weeks when we do our Florida Gators postmortem. But until then, Tyler, we're going to move forward. We're going to talk about what's happening right now in college football. Like we said, college football playoff rankings not going to do this week, so we're going to move forward. Let's jump into silly season. Okay, I'm going to list off the current open jobs, old and new. Then we will talk about the jobs that have been filled, and then I want to briefly mention let me start with briefly mentioning 4 coaches that recently got extensions throughout the course of the season. Lance Leipold at Kansas. Aplausos for this man used Kansas to leverage a contract extension. That, ladies and gentlemen, first ballot Hall of Famer in my eyes.
Yep.
In my eyes, I'm just saying.
Put him in
good for him. Good.
Saban couldn't do that. Saban couldn't do that. Saban could do a lot. Saban couldn't do that.
Your boy Kalen DeBoer got an extension at Washington, a quiet extension, which good for him. Good for him.
Yes. Both these were those. These are those Mel Tucker Michigan State extensions, which I'm sure Michigan State might be regretting right now. But it's that you can come take him, but you're gonna give us some money if you do.
Oh yeah. Then you had Mark Stoops. He's on here as a technicality. I think every time he has a winning season, he automatically gets a contract year added to his contract. So technicality here. And then Dabo Sweeney also got a contract extension. Again, technicalities. Those guys are staying there. Mark Stoops might not stay there forever, but it's just a technicality on the extension. Open jobs, Tyler. New jobs that are open. And I'm going to try to...
There's a lot. Hey, we're getting the end of rivalry week. This is a big time.
That is true. That is true. All right. So first on the list, and I promise this was just because it was the first one that I found. Marcus Arroyo is out at UNLV. I will never ever wish that a human being loses their job, but this might be the closest to
retribution.
In the end, he is still a fired college football coach, which is our dream job. So
it's hard to feel. Again, just a microcosm so I don't repeat it. it's
Mhm.
such a weird thing because I know you should feel bad for people for losing their jobs.
Of
At the
course, of
same
course.
time, they get paid millions of dollars to not do their jobs.
Exactly.
So how bad am I
Exactly.
supposed to feel?
Exactly. So UNLV is now open. Tim Lester fired at Western Michigan. That job is now open. Luke Fickell is no longer the coach at Cincinnati. Put a pin in that, Tyler. We will have that conversation in a minute. But just know Cincinnati is open. Phil Montgomery has been let go at Tulsa. Tulsa is now open. David Shaw has resigned at Stanford. Put a pin in that one. We'll talk about that in a second. The heavens parted and Willie Taggart was relieved of his duties at Florida Atlantic University.
Almost like they should have never hired him.
Moving on. And then that's it for those that have those new open jobs. Now, Tyler, let's talk David Shaw at Stanford, because that is I don't want to say it's a surprise. Friend of the pod, Kevin Borba, man who hosts Tailgaters, another college football podcast that I am on. You can find that on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And he runs the Sports Illustrated Fan Nation Stanford website. And so he's been going to every game and has been in the press conferences and talking to him. He told me that he felt like this was going to happen a few weeks ago. I didn't say it because it was just kind of a gut feeling. It wasn't him reporting anything, and I didn't want to take anything from him. Good friend of mine. But this has now happened. So I have talked to him, and he said that he feels like this was something, like he said, to be expected, and that he really did. It really was difficult for him. Like, there's a lot of people that are saying like, oh yeah, stepping down and Stanford doesn't want to play the NIL game, this and that, whatever. But it was a hard decision for David Shaw, and I think that David Shaw will go down not only as the winningest coach in Stanford football history, but as one of the icons of Stanford football, given his tenure there. So, Tyler, what do you think of David Shaw and him resigning?
I think Stanford's in a weird place. I mean, I heard it said on a different podcast, I forget which one, so unfortunately I cannot give credit, but they mentioned that like with NIL and transfer portal being such a big thing now, Stanford's actually been really hamstrung by that, because Stanford is, again, we talk about all these like academic requirements that you have for Notre Dame or Georgia Tech or like Vanderbilt have for all the players. Stanford's actually the hardest one to get into, because you have to get the kid in separate. Like it's not like we have a threshold. You get it. A student athlete has to get into Stanford on their own merit to then take the scholarship.
Yeah, there is no football player entrance exam to Stanford.
Yeah, and now it's just like, so you can't accept transfers as readily. You can't. NIL only helps you so much. Additionally, I've heard this, like, Stanford has a situation where, like, a lot of times with football players, because you're on campus so much, you can kind of get through 4 years of classes in 3 years because you're here for every summer, which then a lot of players all over the country take like some sort of graduate classes or things like that to stay at the school. Stanford, you have to actually get into the grad program. Like, so sometimes players just have to transfer away from Stanford because they can't get into a graduate program at Stanford, or there's not one that they want, or they can't do it with football, so you can't be in college football and not take classes. These are the problems that Stanford is dealing with. David Shaw has spent so long being so good at avoiding them, but I think that time has passed, and I'm glad that they allowed him to resign rather than fire him.
Yeah, that's one thing I really respect. I really do respect that.
He has done so much for them. He has been so good for them, and all of those things are exacerbated now that I just described. But they've always been there. David Shaw's always had to deal with them, and one of his players should have won a Heisman, but he's had so many incredible seasons.
He did win the Heisman.
He did win the Heisman. My bad.
Don't rewrite history. Come on, man.
So I was talking about Andrew Luck. Everybody knows that Christian McCaffrey.
Yes, that's true. That is true. He probably should have won the Heisman. He probably should have joined noted Heisman winner Christian McCaffrey, who won the Heisman in 2015, and we will not debate that because that's a fact. Continue, Tyler.
Yes. So, very interested to who would even take this job, but I'm very happy for David Shaw that he gets to go out on his own terms.
100% agree. I'm really not going to say anything after that because just echoing that statement completely. Like I said, like you said, very interested to see who takes this job. Definitely will have to be someone who has experience at an institution that isn't as lenient with their athletic admissions, is the best way I can say that. They also have reportedly not wanted to play NIL, like play the game. So clearly they're going to have to go after um, a specific type
Triple
of player.
option.
So triple, I would not hate that. All right, quickly, we got a lot to get through, Tyler.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go into the jobs that have hired. Do you want to start? I will give you the option. Door number 1, we have the SEC Madness. I think you know where that's going.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2, we have the surprise in the Big Ten. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with the surprise in the Big Ten because I feel like I have more. I feel like the SC Madness might take longer. So
Great point. Great point.
We'll do the Big Ten surprise.
Sounds good. 2 surprises in the Big Ten. Biggest one definitely has to be Luke Fickell leaving Cincinnati to take the Wisconsin job. He was 57-18 with Cincy. He won 2 American Conference titles, and most notably is the only coach to take a Group of 5 team to the playoff. That was last year with a team that had 9 players drafted from their starting 22. So lots to say there. Great team, great developer of talent, great identifier of talent. This came as a surprise, definitely.
Definitely.
We thought that Luke Fickell would be the coach that would take his team from one conference to make the jump to the Power 5.
Patterson. We thought he was going to Gary.
We thought he was going to be Gary Patterson. That's exactly what we thought he was going to be. Yes. What happened here? What are your thoughts?
I think I don't know because I don't know any of these coaches, but I think what happened with Luke Fickell is that he looked at it and was just like, cool, we're rebuilding, still doing good. We're about to make a move to a Power 5 conference. No matter how good you are, and the TCU had this problem too. They were dominating Group of 5. They make the transition to the Big 12. They sucked for a few years because there is a transition period where it's just like, it's not about can you beat in one game. It's like, now you've got to do a whole season. Like, your depth is not where it needs to be. You're not getting your average player. It's not about your best players. It's your average player is not as good as the other team's average player. And eventually, I mean, case in point, it's taken like 10 years. TCU is about to make the playoff. And it has taken, take some time for you to recruit because now you're at a higher level, so you can recruit differently. You can recruit higher level players. You eventually get into that. And good coaches can really mitigate that as well.
Yeah.
However, I'm not surprised Luke Fickell was like, I could do that. I could also go to Wisconsin.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. That Luke Fickell would choose, hey, if there's a good enough open job, I'm going to go to that and not have to sit through the 4 years of this rebuild where if I screw it up too much, they'll fire me. And even, which, like, I know that sounds crazy considering everything Luke Fickell's done for Cincinnati, but coaches have been fired under weirder circumstances, and fans have short memories. Like, so, I mean, people are asking to fire Ryan Day for. We'll talk about that.
No. That is Ohio State fans are asking. That is its own world.
That's its own thing. But Wisconsin was an interesting pick to me. Is the thing. Because I feel like, I don't know, Wisconsin now, because the Big Ten is about to add USC and UCLA. Two programs that now look like they're good again. To a situation where Wisconsin is already going up against Michigan State, who's not good right now, but Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. Wisconsin at its best is 4th on that list as far as talent, development. Sometimes they cycle up, sometimes they cycle down. You're about to add 2 more teams that arguably can get more talent than you. UCLA is arguable. USC does. And which means the Big Ten will probably be going away from divisions soon, in which case, okay, what Wisconsin has benefited from, which is being the best in their division, that advantage is going away.
Yeah. I think at best,
but it is a big job. So
yeah, absolutely. He let's be real. He went from currently the best program, because you can't deny with a program that makes the playoff from the Group of 5, and developed the talent the way he did. He went from the best Group of 5 to being potentially maybe the 5th or 6th best in the Big 12, to now jumping to a job that is probably at its peak, Tyler, third best in the Big Ten at its peak.
Yeah.
At its peak. I get it. I think another big deal here is money, and not just to him, but money to his staff and money to his NIL collective. Something that I think Wisconsin, with their being part of the Big Ten, and it's. I think this is one of the first.
Wisconsin wants to win.
They do
say everything they will. They want to win.
They are willing to spend the money. Much like Nebraska, which we'll get to in a second. But I think that it's really the first domino in the, it's legit going to be a power 2, and then everyone else. We're going to get into 3 tiers of college football. The SEC and the Big Ten, because they have the most money and they can land the top talent, NIL wise, coaching wise, all that, etc. Then we're going to have that middle tier, the ACC, the Big 12, the Pac-12, maybe the American is in that middle tier, and then you have the bottom as Sun Belt,
then everything else,
and then everything else. So that's how I feel. This is the first domino for that. And listen, his salary is going from like $4.5 million to $9 million. So as an individual, it's a lot of money to be able to.
What can you say about that?
What can you say about that?
Of the jobs available currently in the cycle, I don't think there's one that's better for him.
I think it's the best fit. I agree.
It's the thing. I mean, obviously, Auburn was the better open job, but I don't think Luke Fickell. I don't.
No,
it's not that Auburn never considered Luke Fickell, because I don't know.
No.
I know some of the things Auburn considered. I don't think Luke Fickell would have ever considered Auburn, because
I just don't think it was a good
Fickell's
fit.
Luke Fickell's never coached outside of the state of Ohio. Why would he
Yeah. And listen, I think I'm not going to give away everything that was said on the Split Zone Duo Patreon, because I think that they do good work over there. Godfrey, especially, doing great work. Richard Johnson, Alex Kirshner, those guys run a great thing. I highly recommend subscribing to that podcast, the free version, and I highly recommend paying the $5 a month. If you are listening to us, you are definitely a college football nut, so it's $5 well spent. They had a Patreon episode. One of the things he mentioned about Luke Fickell that he knew was how Luke Fickell was deeply Catholic, like devoutly Catholic, and he has like 8 children Catholic. One of the things that came up in the Auburn conversations between camps, not individuals, but was that the fact that Fickell's camp said you don't even have a Catholic K-8 school in the Auburn area, like, and those kind of, if you're looking at those kind of things, then maybe it's not going to be a fit at Auburn specifically, or maybe not in the SEC either. So, I agree with you. I think it's the best. I think it's the best fit for Fickell amongst the jobs that are open. But the only other one that could have, I think, was Nebraska, who ended up hiring Matt Rule, former Baylor and Temple head coach, known as a program builder. That's his reputation, taking a program from being down to taking them and building them and being up. Good reputation to have. And most recently with the Carolina Panthers, which we're not even going to discuss that. The NFL is completely different. I mean, the greatest college football coach of all time failed in the NFL, came back, and has been dominant ever since. So I'm not even going to get to that. What did you think about Matt Rule being hired at Nebraska?
Similar situation with Luke Fickell, in that I don't know about if this is not about if this is the best fit for the school, but for that coach, I think it was the best program that he could have gone to.
Okay. Amongst the ones that are open.
Yeah, amongst the open jobs. Yeah, I'm only really considering the open jobs. Yeah, everybody the best program they can go to is Alabama. So, I mean, that's not really on the table.
Right.
I think that given in college, Matt Rule's whole thing was that he was a program builder. Like, he started 1-11 at Baylor. In 2 years, he flipped that record to 11-1. A lot of recruiting, building up the right guys. We're gonna take our time. That's kind of the opposite to what Scott Frost was. Scott Frost was just so quick, successful, flash, speed, substance.
I will say, at least at UCF, he did take over an 0-12 team. In his first season, he went 6-6. His second season, they went undefeated. So I do think that, but again, small sample size with Matt Rule. Not only have we seen it longer. Not only has he done it for longer at Baylor, which is the school he's mostly associated with, but he also did the same thing at Temple. So it's not like, you know what I mean? It's a similar, he's done it multiple times. There's a track record. I agree with you.
I don't think Nebraska will be too much better than they are this year, next year.
Correct.
But I think that this might be, and with Nebraska, who now it's actually funny. I feel like now with NIL, that actually has opened the door for Nebraska to get back into relevancy. Because now
I
it's just
agree.
like, oh, we can just really spend money.
Yes, and they have the money to spend, and they're willing to spend the money. And I think Matt Rule came in and said, okay, cool. If you're going to give me the keys to this, I can build this program out, but I need these financial reassurances from you guys that we're going to be able to be competitive. And I think that Nebraska is willing to do that. And I think, it, good for them. I think it's a good match. Like you said, we're going to go from watching Nebraska to being like, oh, Nebraska, when are they ever going to get it together? To being like, okay, I can start to see this changing. Okay, this is changing. Oh, they landed this recruit. Oh, they did this. You know what I mean? We're going to start to have a more positive perception of Nebraska going forward. All right, quickly, let's go through. Those were the two bigger ones. Quickly, we'll go through some other ones, and then we'll finish with the big one
last.
We'll hit the big one. Kenny Dillingham was the Oregon offensive coordinator. He's an Arizona State alum. He goes back home. He is 32 years old. He's for sure the youngest head coach in the Power 5. I think the youngest head coach in FBS, but I didn't have time to research that.
I'm pretty sure Dan Lanning was the youngest coach.
Yeah, I think he was. And now, Dan Lanning's like 36 or something like that. So, he's hired there. My 2 cents. I mean, good hire, I guess. Arizona State is such a question mark that we'll find out. Exactly. We'll find out. That's how I feel about that. What about you?
That's kind of how I feel. I mean, like, I liked Oregon's offense this year. And like just in general, Arizona State was so bad this year. So like, I don't really
and the program
know.
is still awaiting NCAA sanctions. So it's going to take a while.
I mean, he's an alum, so he's going into one of those situations where it's like he's really. I feel like the only reason he's taking this job, not the only reason, he's an offensive coordinator. He wants a head coaching job. He's an alum, though. He's not going to wait for something better. Like,
right? No, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Couple other rumors. Georgia Tech is still open. Rumor is that they're waiting for Willie Fritz, the Tulane coach. He is playing this weekend in the American Conference title game, so that's a rumor.
I would really like that for them.
Great fit. I agree. I think it would be a great fit. Excuse me. Colorado, the rumor is that Deion Sanders has been offered the job and they are waiting for him to make a decision. Obviously, if he takes it, he takes it. But if he doesn't, then they are waiting for him to then move forward. At one point, names like Tom Herman were speculated for this job. He's from California, has had coaching experience, stuff like that. So we'll have to see with Deion. I got a text from Raul a few minutes ago saying that he would like Deion to be the FAU head coach.
I was going to make that joke at some point, but I'm glad that
I think it would be great. I think
it'd be dynamite. But
I think FAU has already proven that they can be the big name coach comes here to build up himself for top level job with the Lane Kiffin experience, and they've proved that can actually happen. Bring Deion down here. Come on, Doug.
No, Deion in FAU would be amazing.
Travis Hunter in an FAU jersey? I'm sold.
The only problem is that he's rumored to be talking to a Power 5 program.
Exactly.
So
now the question is, does he feel
where that's where the joke comes in? Where I'm
exactly
like, yes, like
right
now. I don't think Colorado is as much of a fit as FAU is, but
that's that's right. I think that's the advantage. Anyway, there's currently no rumor to Deion to FAU. I'm just saying that's what Raul said, and I would love to see that happen. And all right, Tyler, it is time.
The big one.
It's time to have the conversation. So we talked a little bit last week about the Lane Kiffin rumors, and we were joking saying, oh, can't wait to talk about him being the coach next week. Well, he's not. He signed an extension with Ole Miss. I purposely left that out of the extension section because here we are. But yeah, the Auburn Tigers are rumored. It's not official. It's one of those like
I think they tweeted it out.
Did they tweet it? Because I haven't seen that. Can you double check live podcast?
Double checking right now.
You check while we do it.
I thought I saw this.
But it is Liberty head coach, former Ole Miss head coach Hugh Freeze, who at one point was said by the SEC commissioner Greg Sankey.
They put a video clip of this guy like at the
press conference. Oh, okay, yeah. It's done. It's done. He is now the Auburn head coach. This is insane because clearly he was not Auburn's first choice. No. Clearly, Jack Cohn was going after Lane Kiffin. They then leaked it. I don't know if it was Hugh Freeze. I don't know if it was Auburn. My gut says Hugh Freeze's camp. Leaked that he was going to be the Auburn coach on Friday. Uproar ensued on Twitter, which rightfully so, because if you're not aware,
so not enough in my opinion.
If you are new to the "what's so bad about Hugh Freeze," if that's the question you're asking,
so many things.
Google Hugh Freeze, some of which being the use of a school phone when he was coach at Ole Miss to call hookers for prospective players. The whole Laramie Tunsil gas mask situation, yeah, that's Hugh Freeze. A lot of different NCAA violations, and last year, on top of that, there was a student at Liberty who spoke out against I want to say a football player, and then also the athletic director for not handling it the right way. It being a sexual assault that she had experienced, and Hugh Freeze DM'd her and said, "Stop talking bad about the athletic director. You don't know this man. He's a good person." It's like, dude, even if you believe that, you can't be DMing a random girl who was a survivor of a sexual assault allegation and think it's okay. Like, what? You're the head coach of a football team.
One of the funniest things about this is that apparently in the agreement to the contract, Auburn said that Hugh Freeze had to turn over his social media accounts to control of Auburn.
No way.
Hugh Freeze is not in control of his social media accounts at the moment.
That's genius. That's
part
genius.
of the contract.
That's
now,
like that's the Kyler Murray. You're required
Auburn, from an Auburn lawyership set,
perspective.
Legal perspective, genius.
Yeah. Auburn said
we ain't getting got this time.
Exactly. We ain't getting got. That's not us. Thoughts?
Okay, thoughts. Okay, I'm gonna hold off my thoughts on the moral aspect of this because I do have thoughts about that. But let's actually just talk about this from a football perspective real quick. And how I think this is a dumb move from a football perspective. So the one bad thing, in my opinion, one of the two bad things that you could have had from hiring Lane Kiffin was Lane Kiffin is actually not proven to be that great of a recruiter. Like, he's not bad, but it's just like Lane Kiffin is just a more fun on social media Dan Mullen sometimes. Like, great offensive mind, brilliant offensive mind, clearly more in control of the program building aspects, I think, at this point for what Ole Miss is doing. But they haven't been lighting the world up in recruiting. But the number one thing that Auburn could have done that would really have sucked if hiring Lane Kiffin, like the only real bad thing I could see from a football perspective, is that you piss off Nick Saban. This is worse. You wanted to piss off Nick Saban? Now you're Auburn. That should be your job. But like, you want to piss off Nick Saban? Yeah, hire Hugh Freeze. Oh, also, you want to piss off the SEC commissioner, Greg Sankey? Hire Hugh Freeze. A guy who
I had heard a rumor.
And also was Ole Miss had to go through like 5 years of NCAA sanctions because of how bad he was at hiding where he dropped the bag.
Right. I think there was a rumor at least that like Greg Sankey had to like sign off if Hugh Freeze ever wanted to coach in the SEC again, if a school ever wanted to bring him in. If that's true, then he clearly signed off on this.
That's not what Stephen Godfrey cryptically alluded to in some of his tweets.
He didn't. I'm not up to date with Godfrey's tweets. Everyone needs to follow Godfrey at 38 Godfrey on Twitter. It's a required college football following account, especially during silly season. The man knows. The man is plugged in.
He's plugged
and
in.
No one knows Hugh Freeze more than Stephen Godfrey because oh boy, that man knows him. Highly recommend subscribing to the Patreon for that.
Quoting Stephen Godfrey at it's the 29th, right? Yes, at 8:37 Pacific time this morning. So 11:37 Eastern.
Can we pause real quick?
Yeah.
That's embarrassing that you listed Pacific time first. Who are you? Who have you become? What happened to? Did you leave my best friend in Jacksonville? Is that what happened? Are you a clone? Is this what's going on? Has the Big Ten town corrupted you?
It's a glitch.
Has the Big Ten corrupted you? Is this what's happening? Unacceptable.
Unaware of
continue.
You are
continue glitch in the matrix.
Stephen Godfrey says, I can confirm Greg Sankey has always wanted to shoot Hugh Freeze dead straight. Now that might be I love how I prepped by saying
too on the nose.
Was cryptic. It's not cryptic, it's pretty straightforward.
That's incredible.
Anyway, okay. So Auburn. The spyglass is now down on you hard. And like the entire college football world, NCAA, Greg Sankey, they're going to be watching for the first time you step up. On top of this, Hugh Freeze is a fine offensive mind. Also, let's be real honest. His Ole Miss teams were not that good, in my opinion. Like, his Ole Miss tenure, for as much crap, it wasn't that good. He did beat Alabama 2 straight years. That's impressive because those were good Alabama teams, not like down team years. Like, those were good teams that they beat. Beyond that, what did Hugh Freeze really do?
Well, here's the thing. He was very innovative, but it's caught up to like the schemes.
He was innovative in 2014.
Exactly. And the schemes have caught up. Like the schemes have caught up now. Like it's not like it's a big
advantage Auburn is not
to
built
have
to
him
run this scheme.
Yeah, they're gonna struggle in their first year because they just don't have the players to do it. Like they might not have players, period. But that's another conversation.
Well,
it's just I don't get it because if you want to go in this offensive style direction, fine, completely get that. You want to modernize the way you play, all that stuff. You can do this for so many other people that will give you a much bigger headache and for much less money. Like, why are you out there buying the luxury version of a 2013 car? Like for less money, you can get a newer
one
car
that has crashed and almost killed
a
program.
It has been in the mechanic for a few years. So like I don't understand why you're willing to do that, spend all that money.
This is the guy that only Liberty would hire.
Literally, and this is the man that lost the game before he was hired as Auburn's coach. Liberty lost this weekend. Like this team this coach is not. I don't get it. Man.
Okay, they're gonna put up points. Robbie Ashford's not bad for as far as Auburn quarterbacks go. I think, and they'll win some games. And will he be better than Brian Harsin? I actually think he might, like from a football perspective, because Liberty has not sucked entirely. But like Auburn, this feels like you're just gonna be. This is another, not in the same necessarily realm from a off the field perspective. This is another Brian Harsin hire in the sense that. Yeah, you hire him, but I was just like, I don't see a world where this is your answer because this guy had a shot. And I don't know, nothing Hugh Freeze has done since getting fired from Ole Miss makes me believe that he will be any better for Auburn than he was for Ole Miss. Again, now, Alabama already wants to kick your ass, and now they're going to want to even do it even more. Anyway. That's the football side of this. I won't spend too much on the other. The other side is that I think Hugh Freeze is an absolutely terrible person. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't hold any bearing on if you can do your job as a football coach.
Right.
I have to be honest. Like it happens a lot of time. Being a good person is not what gets you hired or fired in football coaching. Now, Hugh Freeze has done terrible. Is a bad person. Has done provably terrible things in a way that affects his football program. So that hasn't helped. But why are we so eager to give this man another shot?
I don't know. I feel like he was like, I don't even think it's college football as a whole. I think it's a program that's desperate like Auburn. You know what I mean? I think it's it's the perfect storm
in the world that would have hired this man.
It's the perfect
Liberty
storm.
and Auburn.
Yeah. So I guess we can add Liberty to the list of available jobs now.
I think this is a stupid hire. I'm gonna say it right now, it's stupid. They should have hired, I don't know, many other people.
Anyone else, literally. All right, Tyler, that's it for silly season.
Jonathan Smith.
You're not wrong. I don't think they were going to go with another West Coast guy who built his own program, but alumnus of a West Coast school who built their program up to prominence. I don't think that's the profile they're after.
I'd take Bill O'Brien over Hugh Freeze.
Honestly, yes, I would. You know my opinion on Bill O'Brien coaching in college because people's reputation of Bill O'Brien, I'm going to say this for the 50,000th time. No, I do not work for his agency, but this is just me saying his mistakes were as a general manager for the Texans. He was a horrible executive. As a ball coach, he is. And I think that he is good at the collegiate level as shown by the way he handled the worst I'm walking into a job situation in modern history and succeeded with leaving Penn State after Paterno and the Sandusky stuff. So yes, do believe that he is a good ball coach. But
great parallel, Paterno.
Great parallel, Paterno.
But maybe Bill O'Brien gets this job after Hugh Freeze flames out.
Maybe. Honestly, maybe he does. I'm not even kidding. Maybe he does.
I'm not. That was not a joke.
No. Tyler,
If you
let's
can't tell, we don't like this hire.
No, we don't.
I will find it. There will be comedy. I'm sorry. To keep
No, you're fine, dude.
I will. The one good thing, there will be comedy that comes from this. So
Yes, there definitely will. All right, let's recap the rivalry games before we preview conference championship weekend. Our 5 wide from rivalry week. First off, the Egg Bowl was Thursday. Mississippi State 24, Ole Miss 22. Tyler, you get the point because I picked.
am very thankful.
Yeah, well done. Because I picked Ole Miss, you picked Mississippi State. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, his mind was definitely elsewhere. Because the man on a 2-point conversion attempt to tie the game at the end of the game called 2 timeouts on the 2-point conversion and then tried to run like a small shovel pass situation and it did not work out. Was stuffed right there on the line. Mississippi State ends up winning the game. I don't have much to say, just opinions, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, great game for Mississippi State. Mississippi State's defense has actually been sneaky good. Ole Miss kind of collapsed the last month of the season. Don't know what happened specifically, but it's. I think it's one of those sneaky things where like they were always kind of an 8-4 team, and they just didn't like. They had a really easy schedule going up until their last month. And Will Rogers is good at throwing the football. My friend was at this game; he was working it. Said it was raining like crazy, which may have factored into what happened as well. But
yeah, I agree.
I'm happy for Mike Leach that and from Mississippi State. I'll wait for the second part. I'm happy for them that they could get this win so that the rivalry could stay a little fun. Because I don't think Mike Leach had beaten. He hadn't beaten Ole Miss yet. So
no, he had not. He had not beaten them yet. This is his 3rd year, and he lost the first 2. So,
God, it's already been 3 years.
Dude, I know it's been crazy. It's been crazy. All right, the next one we had was on Friday. Tulane 27, Cincinnati 24. I got the point on that one. I picked Tulane. This was a very good game. I will say this was going on at the exact same time as the U.S. men's national team game against England. So I did watch the game live on a second screen, but I did have to go back and watch some highlights. It's just very clear that Cincinnati doesn't have the quarterback. And I didn't say this in the Luke Fickell section, but I'll say it here. I think Luke Fickell looked at his roster situation heading into the Big 12 and said, you know what? I'm going to have so much more leeway at Wisconsin. I'm going to probably have a better roster to start. I'm going to be able to land better recruits. And, they're doubling my salary and they're giving me more money for my assistants. And I have a real NIL pool. Yeah, okay, I'll make the move.
You can still recruit the same area. You can keep up all those relationships you had in recruiting.
Absolutely. You're still in that same relative area. And I do think it's crazy that I think if Cincinnati ends up winning this game, Luke Fickell is the type of guy that would not take a job because his focus, he can win a conference championship with this team. And I think out of obligation to his players and the school and the program, he would have, he would not be the coach of Wisconsin right now if he would have won the game and would be prepping for a conference title game this Saturday. Crazy how it works. Moving on, the game, Tyler, game of the weekend. Michigan 45, Ohio State 23. This game was a good old-fashioned beatdown. Michigan was dominant from the start.
Who knew that Michigan could throw a deep ball?
They hadn't shown us all season they could. Didn't know that one.
But yeah, you get the point here because you picked Michigan, but I bet you didn't think that was going to be the reason why. But...
No, I said this multiple times. I thought if Michigan was to win this game, I thought it was going to be a close game. I thought that Ohio State could do this. Ohio State could come out. They have the players to be able to do that.
The teams flipped the script for how this game is supposed to go. Ohio State's supposed to have the explosive plays. Like,
yep.
I was shocked. Like,
yeah,
now,
I was shocked too.
I have my parents' neighbor. He is a big Ohio State fan. He's from Ohio, and he is immediately like, "We got to fire Ryan Day." It's just like doesn't matter. It's like 11-0 seasons don't matter if you can't beat Michigan. And
listen, Ohio State fans are a different breed.
I'm not saying
it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying they're a different breed.
It
okay?
is also funny that all Ohio State did was wish Michigan could be more competitive with us again.
And then they beat them for 2 years in a row.
They beat them for 2.
And now it's fine, right? Fire Ryan Day.
I feel so bad. The patience with Harbaugh is really paying off.
It really is. It really
I don't
is.
know. I don't know. It's one of those things. It's the Mark Stoops thing. It's just sometimes being patient. Now you can risk ruining your program if it doesn't work out, but patience is working out. Good for Michigan. This
Agreed.
is as a Florida fan, this is terrible because Ohio State, I feel like, was the team that had the best shot to beat Georgia. So now
I agree.
Although
let's
JJ McCarthy apparently is, he did a whole Space Jam thing and stole CJ Stroud's powers.
Well, let's do that again, but make sure you keep CJ Stroud's powers and don't take Stetson Bennett's, because I think CJ Stroud's going to be the better. I get the point on that one. I picked Michigan. Tyler, we then had the game formerly known as the Civil War. Excuse me. Oregon 34, Oregon State 38. You get the point, and I'm not even mad about you getting the point because
what a comeback.
Jonathan Smith, take a bow.
He just said enough.
Take a bow in your half-renovated stadium that the broadcast can only show one part of the stadium because the rest of it is a construction site.
The 9-3 Oregon State Beavers.
Your 9-3. Our 9-3
Beavs.
Oregon State Beavs.
9-3. But they fully just said, we're not going to pass it anymore.
Nope.
We're not going to pass it, and they got better.
Yep.
They eliminated half the offenses. They actually became better.
Incredible. I love to see it. This was a rivalry game at its finest. Great uniform game. At this point,
beautiful.
At one point in this game, I had this game on, and Alexa looked at me. I said, "Wow, I love the uniforms in this game." And she goes, "They look like highlighters." And I wasn't sure if she meant Oregon or Oregon State, but the answer was yes.
Yeah.
The answer was yes.
That's the point.
Yeah. It was incredible. I love to see
all rivalry games should be color on color, but
I don't know what the Rose Bowl situation is for the Pac-12, but we need to override it and just send Oregon State.
Tickets. Yeah, that's a good point. Tickets are less than $200. I might get one.
Get one and enjoy, and get one before they announce the teams, because if it's Ohio State, you know what you. I know it's a lot of money, but if you are going to get one, pull the trigger if you're going to get one. Great job. Great game. Number 15, or formerly, these rankings don't really matter. Notre Dame 27, USC 38. We both get the points on that one. We both picked USC. This game went how we expected it to go. This is exactly what happened.
It was only 11 points on the field. USC won this game by more in reality.
This game was over at the beginning of the third quarter. It was set. It was set. This reminded me a lot of the Georgia-Tennessee game from this season, where it was close and it wasn't a blowout, but it was definitely one team handedly beating the other.
Yeah.
No questions asked kind of thing. So our 2 points from last week, I picked North Carolina over NC State, and just heartbreak. Just heartbreak of what happened in that game. I did not get the points. NC State won. I forgot to put the scores for the 2 points. I'm so sorry. I don't know the score for this game. But I know it was one possession because they did go into overtime.
It was an overtime.
A shanked field goal.
30-27.
Thank you. This game led into the Florida State game. So I did watch the fourth quarter of this game and overtimes. And then, Tyler, you picked Washington to beat Washington State, and you got those points, my friend. You got those points, and this is the game that ultimately allowed Utah to go to the Pac-12 title game, which we'll talk about in a second. So not only was it good for you, it was good for the Utes.
Only knows how to throw one type of throw, and it's like a laser. They built the offense around being like no touch throws, just bullets.
I think Anthony Richardson thought he was in that offense this season. I got the good laugh from you. I got the good laugh from you on that one. When Tyler gets that ha ha ha, I know I
cackle.
Got him on that. Yeah. Yep. Tyler, that brings our score. Tyler 48, Sergio 46, heading into the final game of the week of the season. 48-46. You are up by 2 points, my friend. Lots of fun rivalry games as well in this week. Go back here, pick what we had.
I got some scores.
You got some scores? Go ahead and grab some scores while
Friday,
I pull it up.
We got Arkansas and Arkansas versus Missouri. Missouri wins 29-27 against Arkansas. Nebraska beats Iowa 24-17 in a shocker.
Very much
Iowa
so.
got down by 2 scores, so we knew that was over. Reminder to everyone that Virginia Tech was canceled this week.
Yes.
Georgia beats Georgia Tech 37-14.
Arizona beat Arizona State.
Very true.
38-35. Close game.
Thought Arizona State won.
No.
You're right.
No, Arizona didn't.
Yeah, Georgia Tech actually gave Georgia a run for the money in the first half. In the second half, it was like, no, we're done playing. Biggest couple, let's see, big ones. Alabama wins 49-27 over Auburn. Auburn actually put up a bit of a fight.
They did.
Tennessee shuts out Vanderbilt 56-0.
You're skipping over.
I'm skipping over the big ones.
Yes, but I do need to say and give 10 seconds of acknowledgement to our TCU.
Well, that's why I was going there.
You're getting there. Okay.
I had a point to make about it.
Go, please. I recant that statement. Go ahead.
I'll just go ahead and say now. TCU wins 62-14 over Iowa State. Iowa State, a team that even with that loss, giving up 62 points, their season defensive totals is still 20 points per game, even with the 62 point blowout, in it. That's how good this defense is. TCU needed this type of performance. Because now they're like, we can blow people out.
And we can blow out a good defense is the important part.
And they stuck it to them, and I'm very happy for TCU. Like this,
good.
And this is the send off a lot of these seniors deserve for their last home game. They're going in. They'll be playing Kansas State, and we will talk about it in a little bit because Kansas State beats Kansas 47-27 in a good game. But
yes.
What else we got? A couple of the close ones. Let's talk about some close ones. Well, I'll say Texas A&M 38, LSU 23.
He can't keep getting away with this.
I have to be honest. There's a small part of me last week that was just like, I really have this real feeling that Jimbo might just. It makes no sense, but he might just ruin this for him.
I will say if there was ever a season,
every week?
if there was ever a year to do that, I wanted to see the Jimbo magic happen at the end of the season when it shouldn't happen. It was this season because I could not deal with an $80-something million buyout and our gas prices jumping 40 cents. I could not have dealt with that. So I appreciate that.
This is going to keep him around, I think. This is going to keep him around. Ruining LSU's chances, in my opinion, even if they beat Georgia, I don't think they can get in. And this is good for us. This is good for TCU. We are a pro TCU getting the playoff podcast. Additionally, South Carolina 31, Clemson 30. In a game that I really felt like at any point while I was like kind of watching it, I went away from it for a little while in the second half. So the final score stuck up on me. While I was watching it, I kept being like, yeah, South Carolina's like a score or two down, but like at some point Clemson's just going to break this game open, you know?
Yeah, and they just didn't. They just didn't.
I stand by because I got called out in our fantasy football group chat by a friend of the pod. I guess back to like I think tax fraud Bucks fan. Tyler Renfro.
Would it be tax fraud? Because that would imply that he cheated in the years he won, and they didn't cheat; they were just good.
Okay.
I would say poorly managed investment portfolio. Tyler Renfro. Because they got immediate results, but they were not long term, and now it's just tanking down. So we'll go with that. Poorly managed investment portfolio. Tyler Renfro. Yes.
Tyler Renfro. He called me out for some cold takes. Me being like, Michigan can't beat Ohio State, and also I won't let that one game tell me that Spencer Rattler's good. I stand by the Spencer Rattler point.
I believe you.
I won't let this suddenly.
You know someone's going to take him in the 5th round because of the arm, right?
He's going to Mitch
Trubisky. You're aware of that. No, he won't Mitch Trubisky where they'll trade up to number 2 to take him. But someone will take a flyer.
And the 5th round is where he belongs.
Yeah, I agree.
Fine.
Completely agree.
And honestly, I'll take it up to the 3rd. I'll be like, it's fine. He's a project. But no, I won't let you convince me that this is.
There's a premium on quarterbacks too, so yeah, I could see it.
Uyunglele start like his stat line doesn't match up with what I was watching because I thought he was playing well, and you look at his stat line and it is abysmal. But that's just the type of team Clemson is this year.
I have a couple before we get to conference title. Pitt beat Miami 42-16. Miami is not bowl eligible, 5-7. But shout out Mario And then we have BYU beating Stanford 35-26. There is a rumor that I heard from a slightly reliable source. I don't want to say slightly. I love Borba. I mentioned it before on the pod. I'll mention him again. But Borba sent me something that Jaron Hall, the BYU quarterback, intends to enter the transfer portal, and he intends to go to a certain team involved in a war that is holy, that is not Brigham Young. I wish you guys could see Tyler's face when he figured out that I was talking about Utah. I wish you could see his face. Allegedly, it's something that whatever. I think it's because he wants
this was going to be a UCF thing because you said a war, and I was just like, that takes place on
Nope.
a road.
Nope. It's a holy one. It's a holy war.
That's
so
juicy.
That is a rumor, not confirmed. Just wanted to say that to you because, come on, dude.
Also, I had to bring it up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oklahoma Falls, Texas Tech, 51-48 in overtime.
In overtime, yeah. I saw the end of that game. That was okay. I've talked to my brother since then, and I'm surprised at how, you know what? Like, okay, we got to bowl eligibility. I was like, oh my God, how the mighty have fallen. He's like, it's all right. We made a bowl. It's Venable's first year. It's nice to hear him be a level-headed fan. It was nice because this whole season he was not a level-headed fan. He was very much yelling and angry, but he was on this one. So.
And that's good for him. Good to set some expectations. James Madison, 47, Coast Carolina 7. That's crazy to me.
Well, I wanted to mention this when we got to the Sun Belt in conference title because James Madison would have won the East.
Yeah.
They are not eligible to play in the conference championship game because they are transitioning.
Kind of a stupid rule, but...
It is kind of a stupid rule, but I get why it's been put there because you don't want teams to try and go up too quick, too fast. And basically go over their heads. But it is definitely a situation where James Madison is the exception to the rule. They clearly were prepared. They clearly got ready for the level they were playing at. And so usually you have to wait 2 seasons. But if you book an entire FBS schedule your first year, then it's only 1 year. And that's what they did. So that's why it was 1 year. And on top of that, they finished 8-3. I think they play next week because they knew they weren't going to be in conference, so they scheduled a game. So I think they should end up either 8-4 or 9-3, which is absurd for a team jumping up. So credit to them. We are going to be talking about the Dukes a lot next year. I am very excited. Credit to them. They were up 40-7 at the end of the third quarter. So.
Last game that I need to talk about, and it's more I need to give it to you. I think it's lost it. UCF 46, USF 39. What a game!
What a game!
In my opinion, I think it's the game of the day.
Whoa. Okay. All right. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the mood shift of the UCF fans, that I was with was just a sight to behold. It went from my beloved girlfriend, who I adore with my whole heart, saying that she didn't believe that UCF and USF she said that the only reason they were rivals, she didn't say they weren't rivals, I will say that. She said the only reason they're rivals is because of the geography and that it's not a big deal to her that the rivalry is ending because UCF is going on to bigger and better things, which I partly agree with. Definitely the bigger and better things part. Definitely the fact that it started because of regionality. Of course it did. That's, ladies and gentlemen, that is the nature of college football rivalries everywhere.
That's not a bad thing. That's
Ohio State and Michigan hate each other because they share a border, not because of other reasons, but alas. But what I didn't agree with her was that it was the right thing to do because these teams hate each other and there's genuine hate between these two teams and these two fan bases. And it came out in the second half when USF scored 22 points in the third quarter and 10 points in the fourth quarter. And at one point went ahead and erased a 28-point deficit that they had at one point in this game. Like if UCF wouldn't have pulled this one out, this would have been a hallmark. Hang it in the rafters. This is another. You've just played in an instant classic on NCAA 14. This is incredible what this game was. I'm glad UCF won because
I'm
I don't
glad for
think I
you
would
the
have.
UCF won.
Yes, I don't think I would have heard the end of that. Alexa said Gus needs to be fired. Um, both after the win. Um, she took a
I'm glad she kept the conviction.
she did. Credit to her. She did keep it consistent.
She had the conviction.
She had the conviction. I left actually at halftime of this game, so I didn't get to see everyone's reaction to this. But the group chats were popping. I will say this: the group chats were popping. The text messages I would be receiving. Whoo! Oh boy. Let's just say good thing UCF pulled this one out because wow. It's noted that this was the last war on I-4 for a while, because UCF's going to another conference and they have not worked out the non-conference scheduling situation. So I hope they play it. I really do.
I hope they
Personally,
continue to play it.
I hope they continue to play it. I love rivalries. So yeah, that's that's the end of that. Tyler, quickly, do you want to predict what is going on in championship week? You want to go into this?
Why not?
Why not? Why not?
Why not?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the championship edition of 5 Wide and 2 Point. The structure you have known is now over. We will be transitioning now. All 10 conference championship games will be chosen. We will alternate one by one on who picks first, just like normal. There is no separate 2-point game this week. At the end, the person with the fewer points, that will be me in this case, will have first dibs on making one of these championship games their designated 2 points. So, for example, we know that LSU and Georgia are playing in the SEC championship game. Tyler and I both pick Georgia when we go through. I then have first dibs on what making the 2 point. If I choose that SEC game, even though Tyler has also chosen Georgia, I will get 2 points for that game, but Tyler will only get 1. So you designate one of those games to be your 2 point, even if both players have the same amount of points, are both in the same rooting interest. Does that make sense, Tyler?
Makes sense to me.
Perfect. And again, you can only pick one of the 2 points. So, Tyler, I think since I am picking first of the 2 points, I think I'm going to give you the option to decide, Mister. I'm up by 2. Do you want to pick first or do you want to pick second? With starting with Conference USA. Look at the order of the games.
Let me look at the order of these things.
Or look at the order. We put them just like we do every week in chronological order. So first we have Conference USA at 7:30 on Friday. 7:30 on Friday. Pac-12 at 8 o'clock on Friday. So
I'll go first.
You'll go first. Okay, perfect. The first choice, Tyler, is the Conference USA championship game. North Texas taking on UTSA. It is in San Antonio because Conference USA, the better record, hosts the conference title game. 7:30 kickoff Friday evening on CBS Sports Network. Tyler, who do you have?
I'm going to take the Roadrunners, UTSA. They're undefeated in conference. I don't expect that to stop.
They are undefeated in conference. You can go ahead and put that S next to me. I completely agree with you on that one. Take the Roadrunners. Not much to say here. Conference USA really a drag this season. A lot of teams leaving, including UTSA. They could leave with the conference. Both teams, actually. North Texas is also leaving. So there is that. So next up, Tyler, the Pac-12 title game. Number 14, Utah, taking on number 6. Well, these rankings don't matter. I apologize. They're not the right ones. But Utah is taking on USC. 8 o'clock kick on Friday at broadcast on Fox. This game is taking place in Vegas. I get the first pick here.
I love that it's in Vegas, by the way.
I do love that it's in Vegas, yes, for multiple reasons. Number one, I love Vegas. Number two, neutral site. I think it actually
right.
is a good
Atlanta being for the SEC and Indianapolis for Big Ten, and Dallas,
I like the establishment.
It feels like that. Like
yes, and in this case, the two teams it's relatively in the middle. It's only I want to say it's probably like a 4-hour drive from LA, and I think it's a short flight over from Utah. So, I am going to go. Oh man, this is tough. Oh,
that's why I wanted you to do this one first.
Yeah. For those who forgot, Utah gave USC their only loss of the season this year. It was at home, meaning Utah was at home, and it was a close game and big upset, all that jazz. I'm gonna go with USC because my philosophy in games like this is game on the line. We know it's going to be tough defensively. Which quarterback do you trust more in late game situations? And potential Heisman winner Caleb Williams, I think, is the one that I trust the most out of these two. So I will go with USC. Also, it is very difficult to beat a team twice in one season.
Yeah.
And the first time you barely beat them, you were at home. You are now traveling. You are now neutral site. It is Vegas. I don't know how much that has. I don't know the habits of the players on the team. So yes, I will take USC.
I'm going to go with you. I'm going to also take USC, mostly in a similar vein. I think that USC is playing better now than they were when they last faced Utah.
I agree.
And
You're
Utah's
definitely
playing
doing
very
that,
well,
like
too.
peaking at the end of the season thing. That is very
USC,
beneficial.
to me, is peaking right now. So,
Yeah.
and again, when it comes down to quarterbacks, I'm trusting Caleb Williams.
Yep, completely agree. Moving on to Saturday, the Big 12 championship game, the Battle of the Purple Teams, which on the Google Doc, Tyler, you know how each person's icon is a different color? Your color's purple for me on my iPad.
Love
right now.
it.
So it's kind of
yours is like a pinkish.
Oh, okay, there we
like
go. There we go.
pink, almost purple.
The Big 12 title game. It takes place in Dallas. It is a noon Eastern kickoff Saturday on ABC. Kansas State and TCU. You get first pick, my friend. Who do you want?
I mean, I'm taking the Horned Frogs.
The what?
I'm taking the Hypnotoads.
Thank you. Let's use their proper nickname, the Hypnotoads.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I'm taking TCU. I think TCU is continuing to play better and better. And Kansas State is the type of team that they can beat. They can beat them. Kansas State has proven that. TCU won this game earlier in the season, largely, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, largely because Adrian Martinez got injured during it.
I was going to say, may I offer you some Adrian Martinez in a conference championship game?
Kansas State is the type of team that can really give them trouble, but
they can.
TCU has weathered this storm so much this season.
Yeah,
it is not unlikely that they finally slip up in the big moment, but I think they deserve the credit for me to put them down.
I agree. Put me next to TCU, and this is solely. I know I should probably start picking different from you because I am down to, and there's a couple games on here that I don't think are going to work out. That I think are going to be very one-sided, but I do want to take TCU because I want to see the Hypnotoads in the playoff, and I really want to see that. So I'm going to put my heart with my heart, and I'll take TCU. The MAC title game, Tyler. Noon kickoff on Saturday on ESPN. Toledo takes on Ohio. This game will be played from Ford Field in Detroit. I'm surprised when all the neutral sites you named, Atlanta, SEC, Indianapolis, Big Ten, you didn't name Detroit for the MAC. Come on, man. Home ground.
All the
hallowed
MAC teams
ground.
are the same.
They are. Which of these?
Year. So how does the neutral site matter?
Okay, so this means I go first on this one?
Yes.
Okay, we have to pick separately on this one because it really is a coin flip. So I'll go with Toledo.
I'll go with Ohio. Go
okay, all right, cool. Moving on.
Honest, I have not watched a single game of either of these teams this year.
Yep. Next up, the Sun Belt Championship game, 3:30 kickoff on ESPN. Coastal Carolina travels to Alabama to take on Troy. You can pick first. Who do you want, Tyler?
Coastal's good, but I think I'm going to go with Troy right now. Troy's been a little bit better. Troy's been a little better than them this season.
They have. I'll take Coastal. I will take Coastal. I would love to go separate from you there. I'd love to take that. SEC title game, 3:30. CBS game of the week. LSU, fresh off of a loss to Jimbo Fisher.
Taking on. They're pulling a Dan Mullen.
They're pulling an us. They're pulling a Mullen. Taking on Georgia, like I said, 3:30 on CBS. Did you see CBS advertise for the Big Ten this weekend?
I didn't.
Because they I think next season is the last one, so is the last SEC year. So then afterwards it'll kick. Yeah. Anyway, I go first. I'll take Georgia.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You pick Troy first, so I will take Georgia. There's really not much explanation.
That's the thing I was so confused. We're going to pick the same team.
There's
not much explanation. I wished that there's a part of me that wishes that LSU didn't lose that game, so we could have a more earnest discussion about this.
Yeah, we could actually talk.
But I mean, it furthers the reality that I'm like, as good as LSU is, and as incredible as they've played at times this season, I don't think they have what it takes to beat Georgia.
Same.
Like,
I just don't think they have the roster
to hit a blueprint to beat Georgia. They
Yep.
don't have it.
I'm with you.
Very
I'm
almost
100%
nobody
with you.
does. I think it's actually funny. Two of the what it looks like will be the 4 playoff teams now. 2 of them I think have that blueprint because they have the whereas I think USC has the quarterback to do it.
Mhm.
TCU has the type of offense, but I don't think TCU is as talented as them. Obviously,
Mhm.
that's a hot take. And apparently Michigan can throw deep now. I don't know how real that is.
I guess
though.
so. I guess so.
But yeah, Georgia's winning this game.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Next up, the American.
I
4
go
o'clock.
first on this one.
You do go first. 4 o'clock Eastern on ABC. UCF taking on Tulane in New Orleans. They met up earlier in the season. UCF won the game, ran all over them. Tyler, who do you want?
I made this mistake earlier this season.
Oh.
I'm gonna make it again.
Oh.
Also, because I know you're gonna pick UCF, and I want you to have that. But also, I do think Tulane has been a better team than UCF this season. I think UCF,
Agreed.
UCF to me clearly has a higher ceiling from like an athletic potential and what they can do. They're also still a Gus Malzahn team, whereas Tulane has been more consistent, better coached. I love their offense. I'm going to go with Tulane because this is a big deal. And I don't know if I can trust Gus Malzahn in a championship game. So there's that.
So I have multiple reasons why I'm going to pick UCF. None of them are emotional. You ready?
Oh.
Are you ready? I understand it is difficult to beat the same team twice in one season, especially when they're going back on the road. So it's like 2 road games. I get that. But last week, I ended up picking Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl, despite the fact that I knew there were rumors of Lane Kiffin leaving. I know there are rumors of Willie Fritz leaving. I'm not going to make the same mistake on betting against the team when their coach's mind may or may not be elsewhere. I also believe that there's only we laugh because I dubbed the War on I-4 last week the greatest Gus Malzahn experience game of all time. But I don't think it was upon further review. I don't think that it was an actual Gus Malzahn experience.
That was a USF fueled
Yes. Number one, I agree with that. Number two, a Gus Malzahn experience requires a loss and requires I cannot believe we lost that game. So I don't think it was a true Gus Malzahn experience. With that being said, that means that they have already exhausted their Gus Malzahn experiences this season. They lost to Louisville in an inexplicable fashion. They lost to ECU in an inexplicable fashion. And then they lost to Navy in an inexplicable fashion. So I think they're up. They're out. I think the War on I-4 kind of showed no, we actually have to win this game because we don't have any more of those bullets in our chamber. So for those reasons and the fact that when I watched that game, the Tulane UCF game from earlier this season, Tulane really could not stop their run. They could not stop the run. And when Gus gets on a run, no pun intended, but when the running game is firing on all cylinders, it's tough to beat a Gus Malzahn team, regardless of who you have on the other side on defending them. So I'll take UCF. And also, we have to start switching up picks somewhere. I think this is I think given the other games, that the games that we've picked already and the last 2 that we have coming up, I think this is my best option to this game gives me the best chance to be separate of you and also
feel confident
and gain at least a point on you. You know what I mean? This one gives me the best chance of picking, so I'll take UCF. The Mountain West Championship game. 4 o'clock kickoff Eastern on Fox. Fresno State taking Boise State. I'm picking this game here first. I'll take Boise. I will take Boise. Not thinking twice about it. Boise started off slow, but ended up actually really dominating in the conference to the point where they're hosting this conference championship game again. Fresno State. Listen, congrats. Good for them for making the conference title game after losing Kalen DeBoer.
Coach.
Great, incredible. Quarterback is still, I forget his name, but he ended up staying. Jay Kaner. Still playing well, but I think Boise is kind of put their stamp on this conference as theirs. I'll take Boise.
Boise. I'm gonna agree with you. I'm going with you. Boise taking control. Last one.
Good. The ACC number 8. No rankings don't matter. Clemson taking on North Carolina. 8 o'clock kickoff on ABC.
These teams have dropped,
in Charlotte.
Took a loss last week.
They did. You get to pick first. Which of these 2 teams do you want?
Okay. All right. I'm thinking.
Birdman hand rub going on over here.
I can't. Every time I think I'm like, no, I should pick this team, some other reason comes up for the other one where it's like, keep being like, I should believe in North Carolina and the Drake May experience that they can do this. And also it's like, but Clemson, despite their struggles, is still really good. And it's like, but you're probably going to pick North Carolina. But then again, they did just screw you over last week.
They did.
I'm going to be nice. Not nice,
okay.
But like I'm going to take Clemson because I do think Clemson is more talented. And I think Clemson's defense is going to be there. I think that if Dabo, pulls the plug and goes for Cade Klubnik at some point in the game, that's going to help. Drake may score some points, but it also has been weird where like they just go through stretches where they just don't do anything on offense. Like, and then they come back. And I'm going to go with Clemson.
Tyler. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said the Drake May for Heisman campaign was on wasn't on life support. It was. Listen. We were talk about
hit by a bus.
It felt like a night at the casino. I was up. I could not. I kept getting aces and splitting them and getting blackjack both times. I mean, I was betting more than table minimum. I was riding on it, man. It was good. I went to play craps. Pass line every time, 8s and 6s. Y'all know. If you know, you know. I was boosting my odds and hitting on those bets. 6s every time, rolling that dice. And then it came crashing down. So I think it's time to call an ambulance. But not for me, because I'm taking Drake May, and I have faith that this game is going to catapult him into next year's Heisman campaign. Tyler, I cannot believe I'm saying this in the year of our Lord, 2022. If you had to pick one quarterback, game on the line, would you rather DJ Uiagalelei or Drake May?
Oh, Drake May, 100%.
Give it to me. Give it to me. Let's go.
All right, mark it down.
Go Heels. Go Heels.
Go Heels. All right.
Time for our 2 point. I've told you, right? I want my child to go to North Carolina. Why?
Oh, yeah.
Solely selfish reasons, so I can get that blue in my closet. Solely for that reason. Okay, time to pick the 2 point. I'm going to tell you right here, Tyler.
Sorry, I'm still not sure.
See, Siri's not sure about the Heisman campaign either. Just I really hope she didn't pick up the call an ambulance part, because if there's an ambulance at my house in 10 minutes, oh boy. No. So I'm going to be honest with you here. I'm going to think this through in real time. I'm between the American title game and the ACC title game, because they are both instances where we have picked separately, and I need that 2 point to nothing.
You want the 2 point swing, not the 1 point swing.
I want the 2 point swing, not the 1 point swing. Exactly. I'm nervous.
I'm in the opposite position. I'm up.
Yes.
I'm up. So I'm thinking
Correct.
of taking something I'm sure about, because
exactly.
'cause
I have to take a little
bit of cushion. I need that extra first down. I need to bleed another 40 seconds off the clock. Like,
yeah, you can run the ball and kick the field goal. I have to go for it. This is where we're at. Oh man, this is tough. Okay,
this is tough, man.
This is really tough.
Yeah, this is what you need after the U.S. men's national team plays.
This is exactly what I needed. Right. How did I follow up USA England? Florida State. How am I following this up? The most important 2 point decision in sideline judgment history.
This will likely decide the season total.
Okay.
We might have to go to Army Navy, but
we might. Oh, by the way, we didn't mention that. If we end up tied next week, we are picking Army Navy. It is a coin flip. One gets Army, one gets Navy. It is what it is. We will literally flip a coin on the air. That's what happens. I hope military intervention is not the last resort. I'm going to go with... All right, I'm going to hedge my emotions here. I'm going to go with North Carolina.
Okay.
I'm going to take North Carolina over Clemson to be my 2 point, because I think as much as... You know why? What it boils down to? Clemson and North Carolina haven't played this season. And UCF and Tulane have. And so even though I think UCF's going to win, I don't want
There is
that
that
second.
element of the second.
There's the
meeting.
element, right? So if I do mess up, I don't want to be out 2 points. I want to be out 1 point. And I think, like we said, of all the quarterbacks that I've chosen, I like Drake May the most. Outside of the USC game, Caleb Williams, but we both chose the same on that one. So,
it's not the quarterback that is the deal with Utah.
Correct.
Is USC's defense going to keep
exactly
Utah from running all over them?
And that's my concern with North Carolina. Is their defense going to be able to hold up? Because we know they're
going to have to put the ball in the air.
Exactly. So that's the concern. But I'll take North Carolina. I'm hoping it works out. I know that they have lost 2 games when it mattered towards the end of the season. But Clemson also let Spencer Rattler throw all over them. If Spencer Rattler can throw all over them, I'm pretty sure Drake May can.
But Dabo's also been really good about not taking back-to-back losses.
But this is also the first time that he's been without his trusted coordinators. Maybe this is the time that it happens. You never know. They're gonna have to lose a conference title game eventually.
You say I don't know, man. I don't know.
Right, next year it'll be Florida State, so they'll have real issues. All right, I'll take that. I'll take North Carolina. What's your 2 point? You cannot choose that game now. That I've taken it off the board.
North Carolina over Clemson, which I didn't feel confident enough to do anyway. It's just think all the games that we disagree upon, I don't feel like picking my 2 point because you mentioned all those great points about Clemson, North Carolina. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
And then you make those great points for UCF Tulane, and I'm picking with Tulane because I think they're the better team, but they have lost early in the season. I don't know if I want to stake my claim on that.
Yeah.
The other ones we picked against are teams that we don't know too well, so we're kind of taking gambles. I don't feel confident about that. So I got to go with the team that I feel is surefire. Kirby Smart, I swear. You better not screw this up for me.
That's the best case scenario for me.
Georgia, you better expose Brian Kelly so bad. I never root for you. And here's the thing. I'm just hedging my bets that I know you'll win. Yeah, Georgia over LSU.
I cannot believe that I am outwardly rooting for LSU, but I am outwardly rooting for LSU, even though my pick was Georgia. I just think it's going to happen, so I don't want to be.
I'm just hedging my bets that what's going to happen, what I think is going to happen, will happen.
You did the smart thing, but it also makes it more fun for me.
Yeah, so. It's just I could try to get another score and pass, but I'm also kind of you should probably just run the ball and take some.
You probably
seconds
should.
Off the clock.
Don't want to risk a pick. Don't want to. Yeah. So, hey everyone, it's Sergio cutting in real quick. So Tyler and I forgot to put the Big Ten championship on the rundown, so we 100,000% forgot to even talk about it. Real quick, the Big Ten championship game is Michigan taking on Purdue. It is an 8:00 kickoff on Fox. Yeah, very simple here. We're both going to take Michigan. It's not going to be either one of our 2 point conversion attempts. Yeah, a little embarrassing. Guess that's what happens when you have Ohio State, Michigan be the biggest game of your conference this season. And then, oh yeah, by the way, you have to now go play a conference championship game, which, yeah, I didn't even realize it was Purdue until I looked it up for this thing right here. So our apologies. We're going to cut back right into the podcast now, but just know 8:00 Eastern on Fox, Big Ten championship, Purdue taking on Michigan. Tyler and I both have Michigan, so just factor that in when you do the total. All right. Anyway, back to the pod. Alrighty, recapping it, Tyler. Conference USA title game. We both have UTSA. Pac-12, we both have USC. Big 12, we both have TCU. The MAC, I have Toledo, you have Ohio. Sunbelt, I have Coastal, you have Troy. SEC, we both have Georgia, and that is your 2 point. American, I have UCF, you have Tulane. Mountain West, we both have Boise over Fresno. ACC, you have Clemson, I have North Carolina, and that is my 2 point. Tyler, next week we'll be back recapping all of these games. We will be talking about the 4 playoff teams for the college football playoffs. The final, we will talk about the final rankings. And I think that'll be it for that episode. It'll be a shorter one. We will be having our Florida Gators postmortem in a couple of weeks. So keep an eye on that one. That'll probably be in 2 weeks. That'll probably be in 3 weeks, because in 2 weeks, Tyler, we're going to have our bowl extravaganza episode where we pick every single bowl game and we get to play what does this sponsor do with bowl games. So that'll be fun. That won't be next week. That'll be the week after. So programming note, next week we recap all of this. The week after, we do our bowl stuff. And the week after that, we will be doing our Florida Gators postmortem, where that is a completely dedicated episode to the Florida Gators, talking about the season, what we liked, what we didn't like, expectations for next year, all that jazz. Tyler, anything else you want to say before we sign off for the day?
Yeah, there's one game on Saturday that we didn't cover. I'm taking USA to beat the Netherlands, so I know it's an upset pick.
I will also be taking USA to beat the Netherlands. That game is at 10 a.m. on Fox on Saturday, so I will be getting that game out of the window, out of the way very quickly. I work Friday night till midnight, so I will be coming home. I will be snuggling in my bed, and I will be getting as much sleep as I possibly can, because I can't sleep when I'm anxious, and I'm definitely going to be anxious at that point. So, yes, World Cup as well. Tyler, I am so glad that we were able to have another entire college football season. We're coming up to the end, conference title games. Then we got bowl games, so it's not like it's going to be over.
We've had a touchdown worth of college football seasons doing this podcast.
Absolutely. All right, Tyler. I think that is going to be it. I don't have the energy to talk about this USA game today that the US won 1-0.
No. We don't need to.
Can't do that. Got to get to do some stuff now. That has been another episode of Sideline Judgment. My name is Sergio.
My name is Tyler.
We are not biased, Tyler, but go Gators.
Go Gators.
Go Tar Heels.